So the DeSantis campaign looking to hit the refresh button. I believe that is F5 on the keyboard. NBC reporting lagging poll numbers and a cash crunch are putting pressure on the Republican hopeful. Florida governor is firing back at that claim and said this on CNN last night.
I was getting a lot of media attention at the time, coming off the victory. I was basically taking fire really nonstop since then because a lot of people view me as a threat. I think the left views me as a threat because they think I'll beat Biden and actually deliver on all this stuff. And then, of course, people that have their allegiances within the allegiances in the Republican side, have gone after me. They're almost trying a little too hard with this.
Okay, Scott Walker, now former governor of Wisconsin and himself a presidential candidate from 8 years ago, 2016. Nice to see you, Governor. And good morning to you. You've been there. You made changes. What do you think of what is happening inside the DeSantis team now?
Well, two big things they need to focus on, going lean and going bold. By lean, I mean, even though he had a great second quarter in terms of fundraising, actually even outpaced the Trump campaign, the fact is they're burning up a fair amount of that money, and part of their challenge going forward is going to be much of that fundraising haul has come from higher-end donors, meaning they either have or will soon hit their maximum. So to shift, they need to be lean, and at the same time, he needs to go bold. I know this firsthand. Just having a great track record as governor is not enough, particularly when you go head-to-head with someone like Donald Trump. And so he needs to step out, not just have good performances, but actually kind of light a fire with primary and caucus voters with some really bold ideas that will not only help him in the polls, but ultimately helping with the fundraising at the lower dollar level, which is what you need these days to sustain a campaign.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. A lot of good points made in there. And also, Republicans are coming to your state in 1 month. They'll be there on the 23rd of August for our debate here on Fox Primetime. Check it out. Nikki Haley told me yesterday that she thinks Donald Trump should be there as well. Watch here.
I think that he should be on that debate stage. Again, I've never known him to be scared of anything. I'd be shocked if he was scared of the debate stage, but we'll see what happens. I welcome him on the debate stage. The American people need to see what their options are. They need to see the full slate of options that they are going to be choosing from. So I want him on that debate stage. I think the American people want him on the debate stage.
I kind of think Governor DeSantis needs him on that stage, to give millions of Americans the opportunity to see them one-on-one. Go ahead.
Yeah, 24 million people. I stood right next to him on that stage 8 years ago when Fox as well broadcast the first debate from Ohio. This time it'll be just right here in Wisconsin. But Donald Trump's a prize fighter. He needs to be in the ring defending his title. I think it would be a big mistake for him not to be there. As much as conventional wisdom suggests his lead might beg him not to be there, Donald Trump's never been a conventional candidate. This is a guy who thrives off of this kind of attention. And I think if he came and blew everybody away, as he did in some of those first few debates 8 years ago, it would shut things down. I hope for the sake of not only his campaign, but for all the others, he does show up, not only to address primary voters, but in Wisconsin's case, Hillary Clinton made a big mistake 8 years ago in the general election. After she lost the primary, she didn't come back. She lost to Donald Trump by 23,000 votes. And I don't think he wants to make that same mistake with voters here in Wisconsin.
Okay, on that point, I want to squeeze this in. Biden campaign spokesperson Kevin Munoz, you have the debate in Milwaukee, then you've got the convention in Milwaukee a year later, much like Cleveland from 2015 and 16. He said 1 year from today, Republicans will be wrapping up their convention in Wisconsin, just miles away from where former President Trump promises America First agenda would bring 13,000 manufacturing jobs and a new Foxconn plant to the state. The former president has yet to go back to Wisconsin since announcing his campaign, nor has he provided an explanation for his failure to deliver on his promised American manufacturing boom. So that's what you're going to hear from the Biden team. What do you think of that, Governor?
They're scared. Polls now show that Donald Trump in a head-to-head with Joe Biden can win. They're scared. They know Wisconsin's key. That's all the more reason why I think he needs to come here, make the case to Wisconsin voters. And a step further, I think the key to winning in Wisconsin and other battleground states is younger voters. That's why I'm doing the work I do at Young America's Foundation. He needs to reach out to those 18 to 29-year-old voters, make the case. If he does that, he beats Joe Biden in a head-to-head, and that's why they're attacking him.
Okay, 5 weeks from today, I do believe on the calendar. We'll see you then, Governor. Thanks for your time today. Scott Walker in Wisconsin. Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.